Jay Furman. He's running to represent Texas's 28th Congressional District. Jay, thank you for joining me.
Thanks, Matt. Appreciate you having me.
So you were just telling me off camera that you represent one of the poorest counties in Texas, Starr County, and the healthcare system really is a problem for everybody, but particularly there. Tell us why.
Well, it really has to do with access to healthcare, time over distance problem. If you have a serious issue, they can't get to level 3 care in time in that miracle hour. And so that's serious. And we're talking about a U.S. county that is on the outskirts of really the healthcare system, and they're very underserved. So they have to drive usually to Laredo or up to San Antonio to get the highest level of care. San Antonio would be that. And so things that are normal to us in bigger cities, say in Detroit here. If your dad, unfortunately has a heart attack or something, you can call someone, 911 shows up, and they've got level 3 care, minutes away. Not so in Starr County on the border, the Southwest Texas border in our country.
Now let's shift another issue it's affecting everybody, but particularly in Texas is the border. Everybody's talking about the border as if it's 10 years ago again. How is that impacting your local area specifically? Because everyone seems to think that people go through Texas, but then they come up to a lot of these northern blue states that welcome them in. But Texas is probably getting hit pretty hard as well, I would think.
Well, yeah, we're the gateway to the destruction of our country through immigration. So people need to understand that this is not an immigration crisis. This is actually a full-scale attack on our country. When I retired from the Navy at the end of 21 and really the beginning of 2022, I went down to Texas on a mission with an NGO that counters child sex trafficking. My impressions from that border mission were that this is actually an attack on our country using weaponized mass migration. And I only recognize it because we've lived through it as a family when we were stationed in Europe, and the same thing happened to them when Russia and Turkey pushed the northern Iraqis and Syrians into that continent to break that continent. In fact, this is the most lethal killer of countries in modern history. It's been used 84 times and is being done here with great effect, and really Americans don't understand what's happening to them. It's as if you have Pearl Harbor bombs dropping all over the country right now, but there's silent bombs right now, and they haven't really gone off yet, but they're in place.
Now, since you just mentioned 84 countries that followed a similar path, and it's clear that this is a very unpopular take and a stance on immigration, so why do you think the Democrat Party seems to be enabling it if it's politically unpopular?
Well, the Democrat Party are completely captured by the establishment, or what I call the status quo party. And this party is truly beholden to a donor class that I just don't think that they want to be attached to something as provincial as a nation state and answer to you and I, Matt. I think that they are beyond this and a trans-global sort of ideation. This is where you get the terms with the globalists and the WEF and Davos and all that. But that's just one level. There's many levels to this layered corruption cake. So you asked about the Democrats. They really want voter replacement. That's the lie they bought off on. On the other side of the aisle, the Democrats also have compatriots in the establishment or the status quo party, and those are the Republicans that don't want things to change either. And both these groups have the rig in the game, and they don't want things to change because that means that their profits go down. And so the other side of the aisle wants actually wage lowering or more workers in the country, and so they've been bought off on that as well, and so that's why these people coming in unfettered. In fact, the day after inauguration, when Joe Biden came into office, half of the 50 executive orders he signed, or almost half, were focused on immigration, or on latching the immigration policies that were a great success in the Trump administration. And every month since, it seems that he's come up with a new way to try to open up the flow faster and bring them in more quiet. We're flying people into 43 ports of entry throughout the country. We're actually flying people in here. They don't even have to cross the Rio Grande anymore. So Texas is feeling the brunt of this, absolutely. I call it border incorporated, because we're paying money from D.C. down to the border for the NGOs to help bring the guys in as fast as possible, and then the whole world is paying the cartels to bring them in. So we're enriching the most dangerous, the most capable, most evil criminal syndicate in the history of man. They have operational control of our border. So yes, our border, they feel under siege, and it's actually one population. Many families span the border. Texas has a great history with Mexico. We began this thing together, and so that symbiotic relationship has been severed. Most people I know haven't crossed the border in about a decade. And so, there's that. And then just out in the news, they're talking about kidnappings of Americans right there on the border as well. So here we go. The criminals will do what criminals do, and we've let these guys go wild.
Everything you're talking about is unpopular to everybody, Republican, Democrat, Independent, yet we constantly hear that states like Texas are actually trending more blue, while states like Arizona, or previously to the most recent polling, they always talk about how those are trending blue as well. But states like New York, they never really give the credit for shifting more to the right, or California. So I'd like you to tell us, as someone from the area, what is the sentiment amongst the people of Texas? Are they firmly right, or do you actually think there might be a little shift to the left? What do you think?
Well, so really in Texas, when you're talking about the purpling of Texas, those are in the major metropolitan areas. So that's Houston or Harris County, or that's in Austin or Travis County. And those are really the dense population centers that are pushing us to the left. But the average walking around Texan is absolutely on the right side of things, and really Texans are kind of libertarian-minded in a way. They just leave us alone, let us do our own business here. You know, federal government, get out of our state. We'll run things. We began as our own republic, and I truly believe that my population. So I'm running for Congress in CD 28 in Texas. That describes San Antonio down to Laredo, and then just past Rio Grande City. That's the second largest southwest border district, and traditionally the worst of the worst comes through. The most drugs, the most money, and the most guns, and heretofore the most people, until Governor Abbott did the right thing at Eagle Pass and actually took Texas sovereign control over a port of entry that the federal government was just running people through into our state. And so what we have is we have a population under siege. They're actually hiring our youth. The Snapchat message will come across to one of those Houstons or Austins or Dallas for someone to go have a random pickup with a geo position, and then they'll go to that spot. They'll put 4 illegals in the back of mom's SUV and drive them inland. So it's corrupting our youth. And when you say, hey, here's $5,000 to go do that border run, and they're only targeting underage people so that they don't get wrapped up and that it's harder to prosecute. And so yes, this is unwinding the fabric of our country. Almost every Texan I talk to does not like what's going on the border because they know it's not normal. The flow of the border back and forth is a historic thing in Texas, and that symbiotic population flow brings seasonal workers into Texas, and then they go home for Christmas for about a month. Okay, and they go back and forth, and this is really one family. And all the people that came to America the correct way, because America is an immigration country. That's the secret sauce of our country. We don't need to stop it. We need to do it correctly. So the analogy, all the people that came and did it the right way are offended that people can just walk across now and get handed huge amounts of money that we're all paying. And by the way, they're not showing up for work. The large employers I talk to that have the perfect, sort of non-skilled work to come in, they're not getting these new flows of labor. So that was a complete lie. We're paying them actually right now, and that's breaking us financially. We're $35 trillion in debt, a trillion more every 100 days. Each one of these people that came in, and my number is 15 million, Matt, is an unfunded mandate that we're going to have to pay. So my prediction, if this human bomb doesn't explode on us, and God willing it doesn't, okay, I hope I'm a complete, lunatic screaming this, but I've seen it happen too many times. Even if nothing happens kinetically, the amount of money that is going to be required to continue to sustain this population will break us in a year. I don't think we'll be able to pay the interest on the inflation, or on the debt, rather.
One last question before we let you go. How concerned are you about the threat of illegals voting in the state of Texas?
It's a real concern. So, and we just had this discussion in Texas, and it's kind of gone back and forth. But you have to have a voter ID in Texas, or an ID to vote in Texas, unless you don't have one. So it's kind of this kind of, we say, yes, you have to have an ID to vote, but peel back the layers, and if you don't have one, check a box here and tell us that you are legal to vote, and then you can vote, Matt. So that's a problem, yes.
That doesn't sound too good to me.
No, I don't like it.
Good luck in your run. Thank you so much for joining me today. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.